Hey y'all, I am Reverend Shelley Walker and my pronouns are she, her, and it is an absolute joy and privilege to be with you here in person and online, opening our hearts to that divine presence that we call by many names. Did y'all see that video that was going around? It was a music producer, it wasn't Gallego, it was some music, and he said, God is the name we throw on the mystery like a blanket to try and catch the form. It's like a blanket we throw over the mystery to try and catch an idea of the form of the great mystery. And of course, we know that it's an infinite power, and it goes by an infinite number of names. God, love, source, peace, universe, universal blessing, my personal favorite, unconditional love. All of these are just blankets that we throw over it to try and catch a shape of it, aren't they? And our theme this month is letting go and letting love. And when I say love, I want you to hear it with those ears, the ear behind the ear, that part of you that recognizes the incomprehensible mystery of unconditional love and the power of that moves us, that animates us, that lives as us. And I was incredibly touched last week when Reverend Shannon shared in her beautiful talk, The Day the Altar Changed, when she said this. She said, divinity can never be erased, but it can be forgotten. She said that the spark of the divine remains, often hidden beneath the struggle. And when I heard that, it took my breath away. Because in that moment, I realized that she was naming what my soul had been grieving, and it is that it has felt at times lately that we have been abandoned. That the divine, God, love, spirit, source, power had been in hiding, buried, as she said, under the rubble of our systems and our fears. But she reminded us, thank God, she reminded us that love doesn't hide. It's just that we forget. So today, we engage in a great remembering. The talk today is called Let Love Be Love. And by that, I mean let love move. Let love move as it will through your life. Call love out of hiding. Call it forth in your body and in your life and in the world. Let love be dynamic. Because love that doesn't move, well, it turns out that's not love. It's sentiment and it's stagnation. Love, in its truest form, is active. Mr. Rogers said love is a verb. And by definition, love is change. I was reminded of that phrase, God is change. It comes from the late, great Octavia Butler, the brilliant African-American novelist and visionary thinker who wrote in Parable of the Sower, she wrote, all that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. And that's not just poetry, y'all, that's metaphysics. God is change. Love is change. So here at New Thought Center, we affirm that spirit is not a fixed being up there somewhere, fixed in the sky away from us, but rather it's the living principle of life itself, ever expressing, ever evolving, ever unfolding. Divine love doesn't stay still. Divine love creates, and it recreates, and it renews. So to let this power work in our lives, to become truly accessible to the transformation that love would have for us, we have to become comfortable. Comfortable with change? You know, my dad used to say, at least be on speaking terms with it. And here's why we need to be on speaking terms with change. Because if God is life, then God is movement. And if God is love, then God is expansion. And if we are expressions of that divine life and love, then we too are meant to move and expand. And change can be uncomfortable. We like predictability. I like predictability. We like the familiar, and yet the spiritual life, by definition, is an invitation to keep growing, to let the divine remake us again and again. Valerie Kaur, the Sikh activist and author of See No Stranger, offers this wisdom. She said, "Revolutionary love is not a passing feeling. It's a choice we make to enter into labor for a more just and joyful world. And like any birthing, it can be painful, but if we breathe and push, we will see new life." What that teaches me, we could just do a whole talk on that. But what that teaches me is that new life is incubating within us already. And that transformation begins within us. But letting God be God, letting love be love, letting spirit be spirit in us means letting love dissolve the inner resistance, those fears and attachments and habits that keep us from embodying our highest selves, so that we can help to birth a new world, a world that works for everyone. I want to bring in a powerful historical image, the paperclip resistance. Just wait. Some of you know, I see your paperclip. Where's Judy? I know Judy's wearing hers today too. This idea was brought to me by a beloved member of this community, and then just a few days later, I was approached by someone who told me more about it. And what I learned from Judy and from Bill is this. During World War II, when Nazis occupied Norway, it became illegal to show any sign of solidarity or dissent. So ordinary Norwegians began to wear a paperclip on their clothing as a quiet sign of resistance. Resistance against a regime that wasn't in alignment with their values. A paperclip. So small, so ordinary, yet it carried enormous courage. It said, "We will not conform to hate. We will not surrender our humanity. We will stay connected to one another and to what is right." So the paperclip became a symbol of unity, creativity, and peaceful defiance. It said, we may not be able to change everything overnight, but we will not let fear dictate our soul. The paperclip resistance. So Bill told me that he lives in a community of elders, and he said, many of us were unable to participate in the marches, but we wanted to do something meaningful to spread hope and solidarity. So Bill and Ann and their community started their own paperclip resistance. In the back of the room, as you exit this room, this is why I speak from notes. Menopause brain. There are baskets. There are baskets with paper clips, and there's a little strip of paper that explains what it is, because they wanted to do their part by offering a way for you to do your part. And so I'm inviting you to take two. Take one to wear and one to share. And for those of you who are joining us online, go to thepaperclipresistance.com. thepaperclipresistance.com. You can read more about the history of the paperclip resistance, and you can get your paper clips. So I'm going to invite us to wear these as a symbol that we're not alone. And can we please, I would like to have Bill and Ann and the community who are representing their community stand. And can we please thank them for bringing this to us today? Bill told me that he likes to think of himself as the Johnny Appleseed of peace, spreading the seeds of peace everywhere he goes. When we wear our paper clips, I was thinking about this. When we wear our paper clips, it isn't only, let's not only wear them as an outer, sign of our solidarity with our values, but let's wear them as a reminder of the inner reminder that love is on the move. It's not hiding. And when we see each other's paper clips, it can remind us that love isn't in hiding. It is right here in front of us, and it is ours to call it forth. We're not alone. We're never alone. Love is on the move, transforming us and transforming our world. The paperclip resistance. Thank you, Bill. To let love be love is to align ourselves with the divine revolution, the one that always leads towards greater wholeness and compassion and equity, even and especially in the times when we can't see it because we are in it. The natural world teaches us all about this. The seasons shift. The trees don't question the dropping of the leaves. They allow it. The caterpillar becomes the butterfly, and first it becomes goo, and I was a little gooey this week, Rev. The seed has to break open to become a tree. And here's the thing that I had to learn in all of this. Change isn't a punishment, it's progress. Change is love taking form. And when we resist change, we're saying, I'll take the love, but only the parts that I'm comfortable with. And that keeps us from our full potential, both as human beings and as helping agents in the world. In order to allow love to do its full work, we're saying, I trust the process, even when I don't understand it. I trust the divine. I will let love remake me. The great bell Hooks wrote, the moment we choose to love, we begin to move toward freedom, to act in ways that liberate ourselves and others. By definition, love calls us into freedom, and freedom means change. Freedom from the old fears, the old stories, and the old version of ourselves that hold us back. When we allow love to move through us, we transform those old ways of knowing and being, and we become free of them. Love calls us into freedom. And I'm wondering if you can scroll back through time and remember a time in your life when love called you to change. And when you were able to be a yes for that change, I'm wondering what happened in your life. I'll tell you, many years ago, back when I lived in Houston, surrounded by a lovely life, family that loved me, and friends, and a wonderful life, I hadn't yet discovered New Thought. And but I knew that there was something calling me, so I started a daily, I just wrote a prayer every day. And during that time in my life when I was writing a prayer every day, I came to Portland to visit a friend. And I cried all the way home. And some of y'all have heard me say that the trees called me home. It wasn't that I was going to miss my friends. Sorry, Amy. It was that I was going to miss the trees. The trees called me home. But what many of you don't know, unless you've taken classes with me, is that when I got home, I knew that my soul was calling me to Portland, but every structure in my life was a firm no for that. A firm no. But I kept praying, just writing my daily prayers in my little prayer journal. And I remember vividly one afternoon, I was writing my prayer and I was listening to a song by the Cowboy Junkies. I was listening to the Cowboy Junkies, and in the middle of my prayer, where I'm praying about this urge I felt to go to Portland and my resistance to it, my 6-disc CD changer stopped in the middle of the song, switched to another Cowboy Junkies CD, because I was a big fan, and started in the middle of a song, in the middle of the CD, with the line, do we just wake up one day and say, we're going? And I started to pack. Because I had done enough work, I had done enough process to recognize where my resistance was, and I trusted Spirit enough to say, when all signs point northwest, it's really best to go. And look at what I discovered. Look at what I found. You were here, and you have transformed my life. And it took courage. It took courage to take the step to change my life. It took great courage. And I did it. And I know you have those stories too. Maybe not involving the Cowboy Junkies, but you have those stories too. But I had to be willing to let go of my very comfortable life and listen to the divine. So what if we stopped fearing change and started seeing it instead as divine communication? What if we trusted that every ending and every new beginning, God is saying, here, beloved, here's another chance to become more of yourself. So, I love a 4-step process. Here's your 4-step process to let love as change move through you. Number 1, step into allowing. Some people call this releasing control. I don't call it that. I call it stepping into allowing, because that makes it easier for me. When you notice you're in resistance, you can breathe and say, I trust the process of love unfolding. I trust the process of love unfolding. Try that with me. If you might want to place a hand on your heart, my gosh, I might need 2 today. And with the next breath coming into your body, say silently to yourself, I trust the process of love unfolding. I trust the process of love unfolding. See how that lands in your mind and in your heart and in your body. And if there are places where it doesn't land well, welcome to the work, my friends. I trust the process of love unfolding. So that's the first step. Step into allowing and allow yourself to partner with that divine. The second step is to actively practice your listening. Before we react, ask, what new thing is Spirit trying to show me here? Twice this week, I was in a conversation with someone, and they said, this thing came up for me today, and when I stopped to ask Spirit why, I learned something I hadn't considered before. Twice, 2 different people. Okay, one of them was Reverend Shannon. But the other one wasn't. Reverend Shannon's famous for this. In meetings, hold on. What would Spirit have here? But it was such a powerful reminder for me to stop and to ask and to listen. Listen to each other, yes, but listen to what Spirit would have for us. This is the most important thing. Step into allowing, practice listening. Number 3, serve someone new. Step beyond the familiar circle. Reach out, volunteer, or offer your presence where it's needed. Yesterday, I took a few minutes in the morning. I ordered some groceries, and I sat there and I was thinking about the families that we serve with our Caring Corner food pantry. And I was thinking about their needs, and I imagined myself in their shoes, and I thought, what would I need? What would I want? And as I was adding things to my order, I started to feel emotional. I might have imagined too much, which I'm often prone to doing. But I realized that it took me back to a time where I didn't know how my rent was going to be paid. And I remembered I had a visceral memory of Michael's Aunt Barbara. And Aunt Barb was the best kind of Christian. She was the person who twice a year would call the county nutrition services and ask what kids needed to have their lunches paid off. And she would anonymously pay them. I mean, she was just a person who served humanity from the best of herself. And during this time where we were struggling financially, she and her wonderful husband, Jim, they gave us a gift. And when she gave it to me, she held my hands and she looked at me and she said, "Shelley, this is our turn to give and your turn to receive. But I promise you that one day you will be the giver and someone else will receive, and you will complete the circle of love." And I realized when I was buying those groceries for our food pantry that I was completing the circle of love. And I realized that the reason I was emotional about it was because having had the experience of being both the receiver and the giver, I finally understood the grace of the circle of love. And that when it is our time to receive, that too is a blessing. That when it is our time to give, that too is a blessing. The circle of love is just that. So whether you are at a time in your life where it is your time to receive or your time to give, be part of the circle. Allow that grace to move through you. Let love move through you as that circle of giving and receiving. Community is everything at this time. It is everything at this time. And I thought of Aunt Barb as I added food to my cart to feed someone else's family, and with great gratitude, I accepted the lesson that love was giving me, that service is love in action, that serving someone else is a way that we make room for love to move in our lives and in the world. So, step into allowing. Practice listening, serve someone new, and finally, celebrate your transformation. Acknowledge yourself when you grow. Honor that growth. Journal the moments when you feel stretched and you found grace and you did it anyway. Acknowledge the loving divine presence that was with you every step of the way. That love that ushered in that change. Celebrate your life. Celebrate your life. So today, let's remember, God is change. Love is the movement of change through our lives. And when we resist, we stagnate. And when we allow, we evolve. Let's wear our paper clips proudly, a symbol of courage, community, and willingness to let love do its work. Let's meet the world's challenges and changes with open arms. And let's remember that love, by its very nature, does not remain the same. It grows, it stretches, it deepens, and it invites us to do the same.